Hey there, time travelers. Ever wonder what life was like way back when humans first started building cities? Well, buckle up because we're about to take a wild ride through some of the oldest civilizations known to mankind. Trust me, this stuff is way cooler than you might think. Picture this. It's around 7000 BCE. Humans have been roaming the planet for hundreds of thousands of years, but they're just starting to figure out this whole civilization thing. They're domesticating plants and animals, settling down in one place, and basically inventing the concept of home sweet home. But hold on to your stone tools because things are about to get really interesting. First stop on our time traveling tour, Çatalhöyük, Turkey. This place was popping from about 7500 to 5700 BCE. Now I know what you're thinking. That's just a bunch of mud huts, right? Wrong. These folks were living in a literal human honeycomb. Imagine a city where you enter houses through holes in the ceiling and can hop from one roof to another. It's like an ancient parkour paradise. And mind you, they were all committed to communal living. There were no mock houses here, folks. Everyone's houses were pretty much the same. But here's the best part. When they wanted to update their house, they didn't tear it down. No, they just built it right on top of the old house. The whole town stood on a mound of its own history. 18 layers of the city, one on top of the other. It's like the lasagna of ancient city planning. Now let's hop over to Jordan, where the Ain Ghazal civilization was doing its thing around 7000 BCE. These guys were the original art buffs. They left behind some seriously cool statues that are now chilling in the Jordan Museum. Picture this, life-sized figures made of limestone plaster, with eyes that'll stare right into your soul. And here's a fun fact. These statues probably had wigs back in the day. That's right, even our ancient ancestors were into hair fashion. All right, time to cross the Atlantic and check out the oldest known civilization in the Americas, the Norte Chico. These folks were hanging out on the coast of Peru around 3100 BCE. Now, they might not have left behind any fancy pottery, but don't write them off just yet. They were building some impressive stuff, like sunken circular plazas and platform mounds. Plus, they were rocking cotton clothes and fishing nets. Not too shabby for 5,000 years ago, right? But wait, there's more. Let's talk about Mesopotamia, the OG of ancient civilizations. This place was like the Silicon Valley of the ancient world, pumping out innovations left and right. Writing? Check. Political systems? You got it. Math and astronomy? They were all over that. And don't even get me started on their literature. Ever heard of the Epic of Gilgamesh? That's Mesopotamian, baby. Now, if you thought your city had good urban planning, wait till you hear about the Indus Valley civilization. These folks had drainage systems and water supply that would make a modern city planner jealous. We're talking about a civilization that existed over 4,000 years ago and had better plumbing than some places today. Mind-blowing, right? Of course, we can't forget about ancient Egypt. These guys were the ultimate long runners of the ancient world. We're talking about a civilization that lasted from around 3100 BCE all the way to 300 AD. That's over 3,000 years of pyramids, pharaohs, and some seriously fancy cats. And let's not forget the Sphinx. Talk about an enduring landmark. But hey, the ancient world wasn't just about the Mediterranean and the Middle East. Over in Central America, the Olmecs were doing their thing from about 1400 to 400 BCE. These were the trendsetters of Mesoamerica, coming up with all sorts of cultural practices that later civilizations would adopt. And those giant stone heads, pure Olmec style. And then there were the Mayans, the smart people of ancient South America. These people had it all: pyramids, a fully developed written language, and a civilization that lasted from 2600 BC to 900 AD. That's right, they were still going strong when the Middle Ages came to Europe. In fact, the last Mayan city didn't fall to the Spanish until 1697. Wait, that's not all. Our time machine has a few more stops on this wild journey through ancient history. Fasten your seatbelts, because we're about to visit 5 more mind-blowing civilizations. Let's travel to China and meet the Shang dynasty. These people ruled from about 1600 to 1046 BC. Understand? They were obsessed with bones. No, they weren't. I'm talking about oracle bones. They would write questions on turtle shells or cow bones, heat them until they cracked, and then interpret the cracks to predict the future. It's like ancient Chinese Twitter, only much more complicated. The Shang weren't just about divination, though. They were masters of bronze work, creating some of the most intricate and beautiful bronze vessels you've ever seen. And writing. Oh yeah, they had that too. The oracle bone script is the oldest known form of Chinese writing. So next time you're struggling with Chinese characters, just remember, it could be worse. You could be trying to read cracks in a turtle shell. Now let's hop over to India and say hello to the Maurya Empire. These guys were the big shots of ancient India from 322 to 185 BCE. At its peak, the Maurya Empire covered pretty much all of the Indian subcontinent. That's huge, folks. We're talking about an area larger than ancient Rome. But size isn't everything. The Mauryas were also cultural heavyweights. Their most famous ruler, Ashoka the Great, was like the ancient Indian version of a hippie. After one particularly brutal battle, he was so shocked by the violence that he converted to Buddhism and started spreading messages of peace and tolerance throughout his empire. He even put up stone pillars with his edicts all over the place. All right, time to cross the Mediterranean and check out Carthage. These guys were the arch nemesis of ancient Rome, ruling the roost in North Africa from about 814 to 146 BCE. Founded by legendary Queen Dido, who, by the way, had one of the coolest origin stories in ancient history, Carthage was a maritime powerhouse. These folks were the ultimate sailors of the ancient world. They explored as far as Britain and possibly even circumnavigated Africa. And their ships? Top-notch. They could build a warship in just 2 months. That's faster than some of us can build IKEA furniture. But their real claim to fame? Hannibal. You know, the guy who crossed the Alps with elephants to attack Rome. Now that's what I call an epic road trip. Next stop, the Hittite Empire. These guys were the cool kids of ancient Anatolia, that's modern-day Turkey, from about 1600 to 1178 BC. The Hittites were pioneers in ironworking, which gave them a serious advantage in warfare. Imagine bringing an iron sword to a duel with a bronze knife. That's exactly what the Hittites did. But they weren't just about war. The Hittites were also legal eagles. They had some of the most progressive laws of the ancient world. For example, they had laws protecting adopted children and giving rights to slaves. Pretty forward-thinking for 3,500 years ago, right? Last but definitely not least, let's talk about the Minoan civilization. These folks were living it up on the island of Crete from about 3000 to 1100 BCE. Now, if you're picturing some primitive island society, think again. The Minoans were seriously sophisticated. They built massive multi-story palaces with complex plumbing systems, beautiful frescoes, and even flushing toilets. That's right, flushing toilets in 1700 BCE. And get this, their palaces didn't have fortifications. Some archaeologists think this means they were peaceful and relied on their kick-ass navy for protection. A Bronze Age civilization that chose diplomacy over walls? Now that's something to think about. The Minoans were also equality champions. Their art shows women participating in all kinds of activities, from politics to sports. They even had women priestesses. Girl power in the Bronze Age? You bet. The next time you're stuck in traffic or waiting for Wi-Fi to connect, remember that our ancestors built entire civilizations with nothing but stone tools and big ideas. They explored, innovated, and created amazing things without a single emoji to communicate with. Now that's what I call legendary. And if this little journey through time has made you hungry for more weird stories, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe. Trust me, we have many more mind-blowing facts to share. Until next time, stay tuned for weirdness, history, and remember, the past is a lot cooler than you think.